Hi guys, so my name's Dee, I work for Dorset Minds and I'm here today with Toby and Sarah, two of our ambassadors, to talk about motivation and maintaining, which is obviously really important as everyone's starting the new year with new resolutions, but also going into lockdown again, potentially. It's really important to keep ourselves focused and have something to aim for. First of all, we're going to go to Toby, who will tell us a bit about himself, and then we'll talk about motivation and maintaining. Over to you, Tobes.
Cool, thanks, Dee. I guess I'm here today because I've got quite a background in sport and activity, and that's sort of what brought me to Dorset Mind in the first place. And under the guise of motivation and maintaining it, I guess I've always been quite lucky because sport's quite structured, and it was always quite ingrained in me to keep doing that. But with Dorset Mind involved as well, I went through a lot of injury phases and stuff and had to really dig deep and try to get back into motivation and maintain that the sort of work ethic and sports and activity gives you that. And I guess I'm now working with Dorset Mind to help raise awareness of that and use that sort of story to help others.
Thanks, Toby, that's great. And Sarah, a little bit about you, if that's okay?
Yeah, well, I come from a sports background as well, but many, many years ago. So I'm sort of 55 now. So I've been out of sport for a long time. But I suppose a little bit like Toby, it comes with the territory, really. If you play sport, you have a little bit of an understanding about, motivation and maintaining. And I'm here as an ambassador for Dorset Mind through the challenges that I've done. So that's helped me to definitely motivate myself and obviously maintain it to get through. So hopefully share some of my experiences through sport, through injuries, through being out of sport for a long, long time, but also about perhaps tapping into some challenges and some ideas to keep you going.
Fantastic. I think it's really important, isn't it, to learn from other people's experience. I think that's something Dorset Mind do fairly well, sharing stories. So Toby, motivation and maintaining. So what, in your experience, if you can link that back, what are the challenges that people face?
I think the biggest one is goal setting. I'm not sure what the statistics are for the New Year's time, but lots of people join gyms and join programs to try and get back on top of their health and whatnot. But it often fall off from not really setting their goals right. Again, with sport, you don't have to think about it. If you're in a team environment, everything's set up for you. Just got to show up and get involved. Mm-hmm. I definitely think goal setting and making those goals achievable as well. Like if you set yourself to lose 10 kg in a month or something like that, or it's just not going to happen. So you've got to really be, be easy on yourself and get educated about what you want to do. You can go on the Dorset Mind website and look through a whole plethora of ideas to keep fit and healthy. And so you just got to make sure that you enjoy it as well. I think those are the biggest things, like set yourself goals enjoyable, and then it sort of becomes a bit easier to get involved and stay involved in.
Yeah, it's really important to enjoy what you're doing, isn't it? Otherwise you're never going to go in with the right frame of mind, I guess. Yeah. So Sarah, tell us a bit about your experience and how that works.
Well, I suppose for me, essentially, so the reason why I was sort of involved with Dorset Mind really is because back in sort of 2015, 2016, I developed quite a serious anxiety disorder, which is completely sort of against my character. And I lost all motivation. And I knew how much my exercise and sport, how important it was to my mental well-being. But to motivate myself, really, I had to tap into why I was doing it. I knew ultimately, as hard as that struggle was in the beginning to get motivated, I knew that it was going to be the turning point, really, for me. And I think to motivate yourself, it's understanding, like I said, why you're doing it, maybe seeing that end goal a bit. I mean, knowing why, having some baby steps, really. I mean, when I first was quite unwell, it was all I could do to get myself out the front door. So my goals really was literally to walk around the block. That's what my GP used to set me, that little goal. And then to think, finally, here I am in 2020, I did a 100-mile cycle challenge in September, which I never back then would have thought for 1 minute. Trust me, I was the slowest person there, but that wasn't the point. The point was I was able to sort of show that I've used that motivation. So I do understand what it feels like to not be able to get your head off the pillow. I think being able to sort of socialise, although even with sort of COVID, you know, the July challenge that we did for Dorset Mine was absolutely brilliant. You know, I live on my own. We weren't able to meet up, but just seeing people's social media posts make me feel like I was part of a group. You know, I felt like I was friends with all these people, even though I didn't know them. So that was a great motivation. I was thinking, oh God, blimey, you know, Toby's out running, or Dee's out walking the dog, or someone's out doing so, you know. So that was another motivation in itself, to see that sort of, you know, that sort of team feeling, although we're not, you know, in a team as such.
So do you think accountability is part of that as well? It's actually having to show up, isn't it, each day or each time that you exercise? I think having a buddy, or, you know, someone to go out and exercise with is hugely important. Would you say that as well, Toby?
Yeah, definitely. Having a friend to get you out of bed, you know, sort of makes you can't just sleep in. You know, you've got to go out and do it, and, you know, they'll motivate you to go and do it as well. The other thing about having a friend as well that I thought of in the last conversation is that if you don't want to train, you've still made time to be with someone, and if you do a little bit of training, you can still talk to them about stuff. If you're struggling to get out of bed, you can talk to them about that. You know,
Yeah.
so it's that social aspect comes back into it, and you can get more than just exercise out of it. You get a bit of a kick out of seeing your mates and stuff as well. So
yeah, that's true, actually, because it ticks a lot of the 5 ways to well-being, doesn't it? Actually, even just exercising or getting active, which is part of the one of the 5 steps to well-being, but that connection is kind of what keeps us as humans connected and well, I guess.
Yeah, not just connected to people, but like getting outside, connecting with the outside, and you know, like seeing a local environment and being part of that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the one thing for me that's kept me going over the last 9 months or so, is actually being able to go outside in nature and notice the seasons and notice what's happening and notice people around. I think that's been really important. Okay, that's great. So we talked a little bit about motivation. So what about maintaining it then? So Toby, what are your top tips for maintaining?
Well, I mentioned it at the start. Like I didn't have to, you just have to think about that. Like with sport, you just got to show up Tuesday, Thursday, and play on Saturday, and train every day in between, and until it's taken away from you, like with injury, or in this case, COVID. You know, then you have to start worrying about how to maintain that, and I think you know, there's loads of challenges involved with when COVID came along, with, you know, people coming up with new ideas. So, you know, be creative, like, but find what it is that makes you tick. So, you know, figure out what it is that you got from your sport, your activity that you now can't do, and be creative and try and find something else. Like, for instance, I love the social aspect of rugby, so I need to go and do stuff with people. Or if you love the competition about something, you need to go and find something and do it with someone who you can compete with, and then you get that same kick out of what you're doing, and it's easier to maintain it rather than slogging away with something that you actually don't like.
Yeah, I guess with running, there's things like Strava and sort of apps and stuff that you can join and compete with people, or still access that online community as well.
Yeah, you can get a like for getting out of bed, like you think no one's watching you, but you know, if you want that support from your friends, then there they can help you out. Other than that, again, like short and long-term goals, like saying to yourself, I want to go, you know, I want to run 100 miles this month. Well, that's unlikely if you don't set some goals for the week. So, you know, and then you can start to see your progress as you go, and it's how the top athletes do it. So they're doing it for a reason. If you can tap into that, it'll help you out and then get you through it.
Yeah, that's a really good bit of advice, actually, sort of breaking that down into manageable chunks as well for people. Sarah, how about you? What's your top tips?
Yeah, I think sort of similar to Toby, really. I think you know, I think staying focused on why you're doing it. Sometimes you just need to have that reality check, or just check in with yourself to say, right, why was I doing this in the first place? You know, whether it is, you know, I mean, for example, with the walking, walking out that front door is so cold at the moment, but I know by the time I get to the top of that main road, I'm fine. So it's just really about sort of staying focused on why I'm doing it. You know, sometimes in sport we use visualization as well. So I don't want to sort of become really technical, but sometimes just seeing what that end goal can be, you know, can remind yourself as well. I think it's important as well to know when to slow down. So some days, you know, you've just got a bit like Toby was saying, you know, some days it's just not going to happen. it's really important just to not beat yourself up. That happens to all of us. We all have days, you know. I think sometimes, whilst it's good to be looking at social media and watching what other people are doing, I think it's also about being kind to yourself and going, do you know what, I'm not feeling this today. And like Toby said, you know, if you've got a mate or somebody to check in with, you can just go, do you know what, I'm having a really bad day today. And sometimes it might be that, you know, you set yourself the goal to cycle. I know when I was doing my cycle challenge, it was like, right, I've got to cycle 20 miles today. I'm really not feeling it, but I'm going to do 5 miles instead, and that's going to be enough. So yeah, be kind to yourself, you know your body, know when to slow down, know when to sort of, you know, pull back a little bit, but also, you know, enjoy it as well. That's why picking something that you enjoy, it can be quite key. I mean, I really don't like the HIIT stuff. I'm really not into running. That's not my thing. So if you say to me, couch to 5K, you're going to drag me out of it by my heels. It's not going to happen. But I've now found the things. It's taken me a while, but I've found the things that I can enjoy. And like you say, getting outside and seeing the countryside that I've lived here 30 years, and I went to Old Harry Rock for the first time. I'm like, why have I not been here before? Just seeing that was just beautiful. I've only ever seen it from the car or the beach before. And I appreciate not everyone's going to have the ability to walk that far, but just getting out and seeing, you know, a different tree or, you know, a different animal, or seeing people in the street to say hi to, I think can really help to sort of help you maintain it, really.
To sort of add to that too, Sarah, like you say, like, you know, don't be too hard on yourself. You've got to be flexible. You know, if you set some goals, but you wake up and, you know, sometimes I don't feel like getting out of bed or doing anything, but that doesn't mean that I don't do anything for the rest of the week. You know, be flexible and change your plans. Don't make them so rigid that you can't then they all fall apart, because, you know, if you're just starting out going to the gym, for instance, in this time of year, and you don't go for the first week, then you're unlike, you know, you think, oh, that's it, I'm done. I'm never going to go again. But no, you just had a bad week, and pick yourself up and go again.
It is that permission that we've mentioned as well, giving yourself permission to not do something.
Absolutely.
By just flipping that way of thought, it can really help, actually. I myself, before Christmas, had a bit of a down day, let's say, and I usually fight it, and this time I actually said, you know what, I'm just gonna sit on the sofa and watch some Netflix. And God, that was almost game changing for me. Just that simple switch. It made me feel that it was all right to do that, and actually tomorrow's another day, and we can start again tomorrow. I think that's super important.
And also, to add to that as well, I think sometimes, so like yesterday, you know, like Toby said, sometimes your plans don't go to plan. You know, sometimes the weather's not right, or something happens, or you get a little niggle or whatever, you know. But there is always normally something you can do. And even if another tip would be, like Toby has said, plan, you know, you could, even if you're not feeling it, well, what I am going to do is I'm going to be productive in another way, and I'm going to realign my schedule. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to maybe change that plan for tomorrow so I can walk instead of today, or run, or, you know, so there is always something that you can do. And yesterday, you know, I did a stretching session because, you know, this old body, sometimes I forget. I keep thinking, oh, I'm still 25. I could do this, I could do that. And then my body's going, oh, no, you're not. So sometimes just, you know, do something a little bit different. It doesn't have to be all the craziness. You can just tone it down a little bit. Or like you say, if it's a bad day, okay, we'll come back to it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's so much to do locally, isn't there? Sorry, Toby, you've been exploring loads of stuff lately, haven't you?
Well, yeah, like since rugby stopped, I bought myself a kayak and then a bicycle, so I've been out doing that quite a bit, and rock climbing and stuff. It's just, be creative, like find new things you want to do in your local area, and you start to see it, and you find new people to do stuff with as well. So
I've really noticed the rise of cold water swimming groups as well. I mean, obviously in lockdown, and at the moment it's not really advisable, I guess, to go out in groups, one person only, but there's been lots of people just literally taking to cold water swimming, which is meant to be amazing for all kinds of well-being, on well-being levels, which is great.
We're quite lucky here. We've got so much to do around here on the coast and that, so
and the forest and inland as well. We're very lucky. Dorset is a very, very beautiful county.
And I think we've seen on the, sorry, just to add as well, Dee, on the, like, your Move Your Mind, for example, I know that Dorset Minds are putting on some free activities. You know, there's lots of different stuff on YouTube you can go and look at. classes. Lots of people are offering stuff for free at the moment. So try and take advantage of it, because I think it's trying those new things like the bike rides. And honestly, when my GP said about it, I thought, really? That's what kids do. And I got this bike, and honestly, it was all I could do to ride around the garages here at the back, like 10 minutes. That was it. And I'd frighten myself. Eventually I thought, oh, maybe I'll just go down the road. And now, you know, I can't wait to go out on Connell. You know, we go all around the place, wandering around and going to different places. But it's just being brave enough and courageous. Now, be curious, you know, just be curious about things. That's my favourite word. Yeah,
that's a really nice way of putting it, isn't it? Because you never know what's around the corner, and actually it'll really benefit you as well, which it clearly has you getting out on Connell on the bike, which is how we met.
Exactly.
Which is funny. Okay, so I guess we should mention what the NHS advise as well. Obviously, Toby, you know about this, don't you?
Yeah. So it might sound like a lot to some people, but it's a good sort of like lets you see where you are with things. So 30 minutes 5 times a day is a roundabout figure of what you should be at for an adult. But you can split that down into bouts of 10 minutes as well. So, you know, a 10-minute walk to the shops, you know, or a 10-minute walk to your friend's house, 10-minute walk around the block, and there you go. You've got your 30 minutes for the day. Or if you're a bit more than that, you can split that down to 3 times a week, 45 minutes of really high intensity. So yeah, you're out on your bike, or you've gone for a run, or you know, whatever, you've gone for a swim in the ocean. So that's what you should be doing, and the NHS reckons you should be doing for good health and well-being. So yeah, it's actually quite achievable. And although to some people that might seem a lot, well, there's different stages there. You can break that down. So, and that's for all ages from 18 up to 60s plus, I think. So yeah, it's a good way to those figures sort of give you an idea of where you are and what you should be achieving and how achievable it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really why we adopted that really for the Move Your Mind campaign that we're doing at the moment, because we're asking people to get active every day. And I know that that's more than the 5 days a week, but obviously.
Well, yeah, anything more is better. It's not bad for you. So yeah.
No. And as you say, you know, it doesn't have to be energetic. It can be yoga or stretching like you did, Sarah, or, you know, it's just something that gets you moving. It's so important. So important. Okay, so I think we will probably round off the conversation then today just by signposting to the 5 ways to wellbeing, which we touched upon earlier. It's on Dorset Mind's website, which is dorsetmind.uk. And if you just literally Google search the 5 ways to wellbeing, it's about connecting, being active, taking notice, learning, and also giving back, which obviously is something as a charity we're all behind. But they're 5 proven steps which are known to benefit your well-being, and I can safely say that they're absolutely brilliant, which I'm sure you guys can as well.
100%.
Is there anything that any of you would like to add just as we end?
I think we're pretty good from our side of things. Yeah.
Okay, great. So if everybody could head to the website then, dorsetmind.uk, if they want to find out anything further. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Toby. It's really good to talk to you as always, and we shall be speaking soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Good luck, everyone. Bye.
Bye.